Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone? What's going on, Chip? I'll tell you what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but Judge Torres is ruling against the SEC. Can you believe it? What is going on in Congress? What's going on with Congressman Patrick McHenry? What does John Deaton have to say? What does JP Morgan have to do with anything anymore? The second largest bank failure in history. Someone invested in it. Someone sold their shares. I don't know. But we got a lot to talk about on crypto. What do you want to do, Chip?
Ooh,
ready to kick this thing off?
Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome, everybody. And guess what, guys? Here it is. There it is. Type that in there along the way. If you guys have already won, do not type that in at any given time because we don't need the same person to win 3 times in a row because, you know, that's how it works. So don't type it in yet. Go ahead and start typing it now. And here it is right there. It's on screen. That's what you're going to type. We have 1 entry so far. We'll check in with you the rest of the time, but you will put that in there and we'll be throughout the show. Wait till the end. We will draw. You guys want to know what you're winning? You want to know what you want to know what you're playing for?
Yep.
Like that guy that talks about people getting voted off the island. You want to see what you're playing for? What are you playing for? You want to see who's going to win? Let's see who's going to win. Here it is right here. Here it is. It is that's it right there.
Oh, a shiver spine. Those things are terrifying.
It's a shiver spine.
Now.
Looks like he's collecting heads.
Now make sure you spell it correctly.
Yeah. The shiver spines. That's what it is right there.
Badass Yetis.
Yep.
Chip, is it capitalization?
No, it doesn't matter. It just has to be spelled correctly.
Spell it correctly. Like Hydroponics Allen, badass Yetis.
See, there's
everyone
6.
Throw in their badass Yetis.
6 of people have done
it.
All right. All right. So let's get back to it.
Let's do it.
Let's get back to it. So, Jeff, I mean, a lot of things we teased in there. The red team. Red team is I saw this, and this was absolutely just incredible if you think about it. But Ellie Tarrant put out a great piece on this. I want to throw this up here. Look at this right here, Jeff. The red team turns up the heat on Biden's crypto regulation, driving innovators out of America. What?
Say it ain't so.
Another piece by Ellie Tarrant and Charlie Gasparino. And this one here, Republicans of the House Financial Services Committee are turning up the heat about this whole thing with oversight when it comes to digital assets, taking aim at the White House's Council of Economic Advisors. That sounds like an oxymoron right there. A key advisory group.
Moron of oxy.
There, that too. Executive Office Rep Warren Davidson, who hopefully we'll get on the. What's up?
Time out. So, just a quick note of excitement for those that are here live with us. We have none other than Congressman Warren Davidson scheduled for this Saturday morning at 8 a.m. live. That's Congressman Warren Davidson coming on here on the chain at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time live. That's a quick plug. Go ahead, Chip.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. That's awesome because he's the second time coming on the show. Super excited about it. Guys can drop some questions in there too. We'll review. If you got a pending question or you really have a burning question, you want to hear something, you can hit us with a tweet. We'll put a tweet out there as well talking about it. But yeah, we're excited about it. So Warren Davidson, chairman of the subcommittee in the House Housing and Insurance, along with Rep. Mike Flood of Red Team member from Nebraska, serves in the subcommittee on digital assets, wrote a letter to the CEA demanding to know why the council is taking what it describes as a hostile approach, Jeff, to the digital asset industry. I mean, what other way could you really position it? Very hostile. The council doesn't have authority over regulating digital assets, but does have the ear of the President Biden, who is in economic issues, including the administration's position on regulating the $1 trillion crypto industry. And it's a long article, but kind of just sets you up a little bit for it. Kind of goes the back and forth. Let's see. Today, many entrepreneurs are given the establishment of frameworks of foreign markets for actively evaluating and exiting the US market, the letter states. Ultimately, if our approach does not change, this posture will continue to push entrepreneurs to establish their businesses outside of the US, drawing capital and economic growth away from the US to benefit the other countries. And there's such a hard push on this, Jeff, from the US, pushing it away. Like it's brutally hard. It seems to be coming from one side of the aisle.
Coming from one side of the aisle, but you know who they love? You know who Maxine Waters and Gary Gensler love above everybody else is SBF, and they were so cozy with SBF, and they loved the fact that FTX was, oh, that's right, it was a Bahamian company, corporate offices over in the Bahamas, not in the U.S., over in the Bahamas. So they already have a track record of loving companies that just don't seem to have their corporate offices or their money earning here in the US. And then they pillage that company, tore it to the ground, and look at what we're left with. So, but you're right. This whole notion ship of chasing companies and innovation and money and all that amazing economic growth, they're pushing it offshore. Man, just imagine how great the economy would be in the crypto space right now if there were regulatory clarity.
Yeah, we'll talk to Rep. Davidson about this on Saturday. But so Davidson and Flood specifically cite the latest economic report of the president, an annual report that was released by the CEA in March, pointing out that the language relating to digital assets differs noticeably from prior years, where the council had previously advocated for Congress to play a central role in regulating crypto assets. White House wants crypto regulation spearheaded by Gensler's SEC, which has brought a multitude of enforcement actions against the crypto sector. Gensler said that most digital assets, except for Bitcoin, are securities and should be regulated by the SEC. I don't even know. It seems like lately Gensler's backed off of even that. I'm not going to get into any particular one, so I don't even know if that holds true for Bitcoin. And he's likened most crypto tokens as merely gambling chips in a casino. The CEA's report voiced concerns along these lines, stating that digital assets continue to cause risks for financial markets. But you know what doesn't cause risk, Jeff? Bank failures. That's not a risk to anybody, right? It doesn't hurt anybody. Nobody has money in a bank. It's just ridiculous to think that 4 bank collapses within since the beginning of March. Not a good track record within basically 60 days. But don't worry about that. That's cool. Now we've got Mnuchin and some others parroting this whole thing, Jeff, that they want to raise the FDIC insurance from $250,000 per account to $25 million. So, so the next question is, Jeff, they don't have enough to cover $250,000 if a few more banks fail. Where are they going to come up with covering $25 million per account holder? How's that going to happen?
They're going to print it.
There you go. That's exactly right. That's exactly what they're going to do. And by the way, we went into the time machine. We go back in the time machine for a little video from 2011 from the former Fed chair, who's going to weigh in on that as well. So let's go. What else we have here? Here we go. But crypto advocates say that both are, I missed that part. Let's see. Yeah, letter also calls for responses, 5 questions, including how the CEA believes the industry is expected to navigate regulatory uncertainty and how digital assets should be regulated. It also asks the council's rationale and why it believes that the Fed now instant payment system and a central bank digital currency, CBDC, could provide a more inclusive financial system than the blockchain technology. Jeff, this is an excellent point right here. That right there is probably the best thing, right? So how can a CBDC provide more inclusive financial system than blockchain? And you know the answer to that? What is your thought on that?
What's the answer?
It can't. That's the whole point. Blockchain is vast. Blockchain is transparent. Blockchain is CBDCs are controlling. They're not blockchain. They are not digital assets. They're digital, but they're not what we call digital assets.
So the crazy thing about all of this, Chip, is that they are planning on, they're still talking about that $1 trillion silver coin, that somehow the $1 trillion silver coin is going to be a panacea that is going to somehow solve and save. It's the one savior of a failed economy. The $1 trillion silver coin.
I'd like to take it and knock them out with it, Jeff. Every one of them. I'd like to just throw it as hard as I possibly could. CBDCs are digital version of the dollar. Kind of, not really. I wouldn't see a digital version of the dollar is what you have on your phone. That's the digital version of the dollar. You know, it's like that's not a digital version of the dollar, because a digital version doesn't allow you to program. It doesn't allow you to say, well, geez, you know, we don't, you said this, so we're not going to let you do this anymore. I'm sorry,
Right.
you need ammo for your Second Amendment right there. I'm sorry, no more ammo for you. Doesn't work on that anymore. That's the whole thing. It says Fed now mimics the efficacy of the blockchain. I have to take issue with that too. I don't think it really does at all. It does not mimic anything. Mimicking it would be transparency. Mimicking it would have properties of. The way it mimics it is they want you to think that it's blockchain. They want you to think it's digital asset. They want you to think it's crypto. But Jeff, it really is not. You know what it is? A giant rug pull, and it's a big party. You weren't invited, and you're not going to be invited because they're looking out for you. Looking out for your best interest. Jeff, I got to pull this. I got to pull the clip up now that we're talking about it. But look at this. Let's go back into the time machine here. And do you remember Alan Greenspan, the former chair of the Federal Reserve? And people were saying, this man is brilliant, Jeff. Remember this? He's married to Angria Mitchell.
Remember Alan.
Angria Mitchell.
Remember Alan, good old Alan Greenspan.
Good old Alan Greenspan.
Greenspan.
The Greenspanner. So Alan Greenspan, this clip is from 2011, but he's the former, and people talked about this guy like he was some kind of a god. But let's listen in and let's see what we think of what he says here.
Treasury bonds still safe to invest in?
Very much so. I think this is not an issue of credit rating. The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero
look at the look on the face
of default.
Is that Austin? What's his name? What was that guy's name? This is the greatest thing ever. He's like, they like pan to him and he's trying, you know, like when you're trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the greatest thing. Oh, you can always print money. Dude, you are the chair of the Federal Reserve and you're on TV saying that you just can print the money. Seriously? Parroted as one, touted as one of the greatest minds ever to be in charge of the Federal Reserve. Let's listen to this again. I just can't understand it.
Safe to invest in?
Very much so. I think this is not an issue of credit rating. The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero problem.
He's like,
I love to hear that guy's response. Is he going to respond?
I can't think of that guy's last name. It's Austin something. Austin Goolsby, I think it is. I'm not sure. You guys will call me. I think it's Austin Powers. I think it's Austin Goolsby. But look at the look on his face. He's like, did he just say it with the big eyes? Did he just say that?
We can print whatever
don't
we
laugh.
want.
Close your mouth. Don't laugh. He's like, what in the heck? You can always print the money. This is what we're dealing with. Well, the best part of this is, you know what they say, Jeff? Never interrupt your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. The Federal Reserve is single-handedly destroying themselves. They're taking themselves out.
Walter Matthau.
Yeah, that's a good ass. Look at this here. The T. Chavez says the arrogance is astounding. That's really well to put. I like the Walter Matthau one. That's a good one too. Alan Greenspan says American Turf Services. That's right. Hey guys, I'm late. You know what? You're going to be penalized, Fernando. We're not going to hold it against you, but you're coming in a little bit late. A little bit late. My dog's moving all my lights over here. It's okay. We'll give you a pass. We'll give you a pass, man. I'll gladly give you a hamburger tomorrow to make 10 today. That's about the size of it. Jeff, you know what that's from?
That's Wimpy.
That's Wimpy from Popeye. It sounded funny when it was a cartoon, but that's not so fun when it's like our reality, right? But I thought that was just incredible. You can always print the money. Holy cats, what is going on?
I just want to share. So Michael Murphy was sharing on Twitter. You're sharing a beautiful, badass. Whoops, not zooming in on the right thing, but a beautiful, badass Yeti.
Look at that. What's his name there, Jeff? Can you zoom in? I can't quite see it.
Volunder.
Volander. That's Volander, right? Is that what it is?
Volunder.
I don't know what it is, Jeff. Volander. That's a good looking, man. That's a good looking Yeti right there.
Yeah, look at
Man.
that. Look at those eyes.
Beautiful.
The
Look at
purple
glow
eyes.
background.
I like that glow. I like that purplish glow. That's really cool.
That is sweet.
His helmet, those horns.
So then we have this right here. This is from Jeremy Hogan. Jeremy Hogan said, "Hey, I was just reminded in a case where Judge Torres ruled against the SEC on a key issue. The SEC appealed, and well, the appellate court upheld Judge Torres. So there you go. This was the SEC via Rio Tinto. Just don't ask how long the whole process took. So let's see what that was. Let's see. Let's go into this. Just 1 week before the Supreme Court issued the 2019 decision in Lorenzo, Southern District of New York, Judge Annalisa Torres ruled that the scheme liability does not exist when the sole basis for such claims is alleged misrepresentations or omissions. In Rio Tinto, Judge Torres found all the alleged actions and conduct forming the basis for scheme liability were misstatements of omissions, and so no scheme liability claims could proceed. Then he highlighted this other part. It said the SEC asked Judge Torres to reconsider the ruling in light of Lorenzo, but Judge Torres declined to do so. She explained that while Lorenzo made clear the dissemination of false information provides a basis for scheme liability, it should not be read to mean that the misstatements without more sufficient to trigger liability. So there you go. There you have it, Jeff. There you have it.
Go.
Look at this right here.
On
Whoa,
the SEC's website.
Jeff. Yeah, that's I don't know how long it took exactly. I don't know if it says here, but does it say there?
So Rio Tinto is a global mining and metals company. And so the charges were brought against them. Global Mining and Metals Company, Rio Tinto, was brought against them March 6th for violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, arising out of a bribery scheme involving a consultant in Guinea. The company agreed to pay $15 million in civil penalties to settle the SEC's charge.
So she did push back on a little bit of it. That's something. Look at this. Look at this, Jeff. Look at this. This is fantastic. T-Java, $20. Appreciate that, man. USA Banking is the tallest midget. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, that's one way to look at it, isn't it? You can certainly say that. Yeah, USA Banking. But don't worry about banking. Janet Yellen just came out and said there are not going to be any more bank collapses while another bank was simultaneously collapsing. This is turned into, Jeff, do you remember during the Gulf War back in the day, there was that one guy, what do they call him? Baghdad Pete. He was on there saying, "We are taking control. We are winning the war." Meanwhile, everything was Baghdad was burning in the background. He was like, "We're accelerating. We're winning." It was just like, and we laughed at that. We thought, "Oh, haha, that's so funny." And then we go to 2023, and that's our reality, Jeff.
Wasn't it Baghdad Bob?
Baghdad Bob. It was Baghdad Bob.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got Pete from, but Baghdad Pete.
No, but I was like, that sounds pretty good. Let's go with Baghdad Pete.
Baghdad Bob. And we laughed about it. We're like, haha. And then we come out every day and do like a real official news thing. And meanwhile, I don't think he was even in Baghdad or Iraq anymore. He was doing like the reports from a safe location. But
hanging out in Cyprus or Turkey.
Probably something like that. Jeff, somebody finally figured out the Ethereum logo. I want to put this up here. Somebody figured it out.
This is the greatest logo. It's the greatest idea. Yeah,
look at that right there. So this is Fiat has no chance. Says now I get the logo, and if you see that, that's what happens when you open up your wallet and it's empty from your massive gas fees. And but I thought that was fantastic, right? There it is, the empty wallet.
Oh man,
You got to love it, Jeff. You
Yeah, you
got to
can't
love
make
it.
this
Guys,
stuff
are
up.
you typing in badass Yetis? Let me see. There we go. Let's see if we
Badass.
can.
How
Let's
many
see if
people
we
do we have that have typed in badass Yetis?
8.
8? Come on. I know we have a low turnout tonight. 69 people watching. Normally we up there in the 200 plus, but we're at 69. We have 8 people registered, get a free badass Yetis.
To
Come on.
win, not
Come on,
registered.
win a free
To
badass
win.
Yetis.
To win
Come
it,
on now.
Jeff. In it to win it.
See,
In it to
Drew
win
gets
it.
it. Just type in badass Yetis. It's not case sensitive.
That's it. It's not that-
Badass. Bad X Factor 007 gets it. Paper Chaser gets it. M gets it. Badass Yetis. Ding Dog Daddy. There we go.
It's not for everybody. Everybody can't do it. You know what I mean? It's just for some people, Jeff. But that's okay. So we're sitting at 18 now.
Nice.
So you see, we got the
There
crowd.
we go.
We got the crowd into it.
Got people fired up.
We got 18.
Crypto G was our winner not too long ago. Crypto G won last time.
No.
Brian won.
Oh, Crypto G was the first winner. Yeah, you're right. It was the first winner, I believe. Crypto G was the first winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be case sensitive. Then if you can't do case sensitive, then it's hard to. We should use.
I don't think it's case sensitive though, Jeff.
Should
said it
use
wasn't.
like those Georgian letters. What are those?
Those
things
weird
called?
characters you don't know what it is. Yeah, try to type it in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you were close. It looked just like it, but it was wrong. I'm sorry.
It looked like a C, but it wasn't really a C. Just
That's
something
like
else with a little.
somebody's
thing on
selling
top.
a domain name and it has like the weird letter, but you don't notice it because, and then you buy it and then you realize you can't type it in because it has that weird squiggly letter
It's
or
not on your
something.
keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's horrendous. Horrendous, Jeff. I'm just hang on a second.
Desert Fox, Mad Ass Gary. It's close to Badass Yetis.
Is that what it is? Oh no, that's not right.
What's that?
Who put that?
Mad Ass Gary. Okay, crypto is rough, but we're here. Crypto is not easy. If you're faint of heart, crypto is not the place for you. It's been a roller coaster for quite a while. Irving, it's got to be one word. Badass, like badass. Badass.
What?
Badass. Badass Yetis is one word. Like badass.
Okay.
Badass. Kind of like that. Gilla's got badass Yetis. So if you got it badass, that's like, this is badass.
Oh boy. Hang on a
Right?
second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, Jeff.
So if you wrote it wrong, you got to write it correctly. All right, what's next on the agenda?
You're gonna have to go for this one because I'm in the middle of something right now that I can't stop what I'm doing.
He's doing something crazy like over there. All right, what else we got?
There you go.
There we go. What's the next? What's next on the agenda? Let's see. Patrick McHenry. Hang on, let me pull this one up. So a lot of stuff going on in Congress right now. One of the reasons why we're super fired up to bring none other than Congressman Warren Davidson on with us Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Congressman Warren Davidson will be with us live Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys send us some questions that you might have. Send us a quick DM over on Twitter. Get things fired up. Share that information. And we will be able to have some great questions for Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this Saturday with Congressman Warren Davidson. So let us pull up.
I got it. Here we go. Here we go.
Patrick McHenry. Like I was delaying that one. I've only got one screen, so it's a lot harder for me to do it. So
yeah, so here we are right here. So Patrick McHenry.
Look at that.
This
Patrick.
is boom. Like this is kind of earth-shattering. That's what you guys saw in the thumbnail tonight, which was the red team talking about crypto regulations. So here we go. Confident Patrick McHenry is predicting that the U.S. House will produce digital assets legislation within 2 months. He said his House Financial Services Committee will have joint hearings with the House AG in May on such a bill. There's a more breakdown at Coinbase here.
So Chip, so Patrick McHenry is saying that he thinks that there will be a bill within 2 months, some sort of crypto legislation, some clarity, something to go through the House Financial Services Committee to be passed through the FSC onto Congress, out of Congress. Then guess where it gets to go, Chip? It gets to go straight to the Senate. Now, the question, once it gets to the Senate, is going to be what kind of appetite they have in the Senate for such a bill. I'm hoping that we get a little bit of bipartisan support on this, and it'll be awesome. A little bipartisan support within Congress, and push that over to the Senate, where you have a nice bipartisan bill sitting on their desk, ready for signature, or they can review, add what they want, push it back to Congress, and have a little bit of discourse, put that over to the resident in the White House's desk, and let's see if we can get actual some legislation passed on the crypto legislation, which would be amazing. So here it says, when asked whether such a bill could be signed by President Joe Biden in the next 12 months, McHenry told a crowd at Consensus 2023 event, yes. The key lawmaker was quick to provide a rider that it's always a challenge to legislate something new into existence. That's exciting. Something brand new, Chip. They're gonna create it out of thin air, put something
like
brand
the Federal
spanking
Reserve.
new. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Look at this right here.
Amazing.
Jeff, XRP Peaky Blinder says, hey, will there be Yeti to celebrate the end of the case? I like that. You guys are creative with your Yeti. There's so many Yeti creativity going on here. And then this one, X-Spectre 007 says, the question is, will the big guys sign it? Well, now if you guys, let's just talk about this, okay? Let's workshop this for a little bit. So the big guy, there's the red team said that they would, who controls the House of Representatives, said, yeah, we will absolutely 100% raise the debt ceiling to 1.5 trillion, right? Fair enough. Okay. That was back, sometime January, February, March. And what did the big guys say for his 10% cut? Said, not going to negotiate, not going to do it. And they said, all right, great. So the speaker flies over to Israel. And it was like, I can't believe it. I'm trying to get in touch with them. I can't get in touch with them. Why is he in Israel? I'm like, dude, he's been trying to talk to you since the beginning, since January. This trip has been planned for some time. And now he's like, what is he doing in Israel? I can't believe it. See, so that's weird. He's not around. You want to, I told you, I gave you a chance. And that's kind of how it went down. But there you go. Your camera died again. So what we plan to do over the next 2 months is report a deal out. McHenry said, added the bill will address both securities and commodity regimes and issues that are hard to fix on either side. So anyway, it seems to be moving in the right direction. I don't know. Can we wait until then, Jeff? Are we going to get a decision from Judge Torres? Is it going to happen anytime in our lifetime? It's kind of hard to know, really. I guess we're just going to have to sit back and wait and see what happens, right? We're going to have to.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see something. We gotta get at least a little bit of movement. Whether it gets postponed, something, at least there has to be some sort of an outcome. So it has to go to the point where there's some sort of trial on this. There has to be a little bit more, guts to the outcome of this. It's not going to end in settlement. The SEC, current SEC, is too far away from where we're seeing Ripple sitting. The SEC is taking very vindictive and detrimental approaches to the space at large. We're looking at them trying to undermine within the blue party. Right now, they're trying to undermine the innovation of this brand new financial asset class. And man, there's just so much. So we have to have, it has to get some more legs. We got to see some outcome. We got to see some decision. Even like I said, Chip, even if it's some sort of postponement but it gets in front of the judge and the judge says, It's got to go to this date. At least give us something at this point, right? We can't just say, oh no, nothing. Oh no, nothing. Oh no, nothing. It's got to have something, Chip. We need something.
Lisa, might have some more gruel. Can I get some more gruel? It's like, can I get, what was that thing at Oliver Twist? He's like, so, can I get some more soup? I mean, what the hell, man? Can I get a
And
little more
it cannot
gruel?
be, if it can't be a $1 trillion silver coin, that it definitely cannot be.
I mean, that's some
How about
silver
that?
coin, Jeff. Imagine the size of that silver coin. It was worth $1
It's gotta be
trillion.
big. Gotta be
And can
big.
you, and I understand you've changed the definition of words that have been around since the beginning of the existence of the word, but now you're going to change the definition of silver. It's like all of a sudden silver will shoot through the roof overnight. It's a silver coin they're talking about this big and it's worth $1 trillion. Okay, so now silver just shot up. Or is it just like a massive, like giant, the biggest silver coin ever minted? And what's the purpose of that? But anyway, look at this, Jeff.
It has to be a big enough silver coin that you can't lift it, can't carry it. Then they'll put it on display. You know how it's going to make money? It's going to become a tourist attraction, kind of like the biggest ball of yarn or something like that. The biggest silver coin, which is worth $1 trillion on display, and they're going to charge $10 a head for people to look at it. And that's how they're going to make their money.
Jeff, you know, in Florida, like we don't have snow, but in the wintertime they have a winter carnival. And they have like they have like this they fence off an area. Yeah. Sometimes they'll bring in the fake snow and it just turns into ice because it melts and it's slushy and nasty. But they fence off an area and it has like the slippery surface. I mean, they could make it like that fake ice rink out of it. And kids are like basically with skates on, just sort of it slides a little bit, but why do we do that? I don't know why we do that. It's just embarrassing, but you know, it's fun for little kids.
However, in Pembroke Pines, they have a skating rink. There's one in Coral Springs also.
Yeah, but you're talking about, that's where Florida Panthers practice. Who, by the way, in case Bubba Cuggs is watching right now, have taken the lead over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just wanted to let you know. He says I'm the enemy now, Jeff. You won't talk to me because he says I'm the enemy because I'm rooting against his Leafs, and I'm like, don't worry, Florida will screw it up, and you guys will claim victory. But I said, how much does it pain you when the U.S., who didn't invent the whole hockey thing, like I think what does Canada have, 4 or 5 teams, and the U.S. wins the cup every year? That's just disheartening, man. But it's like truly an international sport. Like somebody, my buddy asked me one time, he goes, how do you call it the World Championship if the world's not invited? I'm like, that's a good point. But I bet at the time when it was created, it wasn't the world, like the World Championship for baseball, Jeff.
Man, I'll tell you what. So, yeah. So it's got to be brutal for the Bruins, right? So was it Florida wins 4-3 against the Bruins, and the Bruins came out. When was that? That was so they're in game 1 playing the Leafs, and it's 1-0.
Yeah.
Against the Leafs. Is that it?
No, they won 4. They won yesterday.
Am I reading this wrong?
They won 4-2.
Oh yeah, so they're 4-2. That's it. So they won 4-2, but they're up 1-0 going into game 2, and so Florida beat the Bruins. It looks like.
Yeah, no, they took care of the Bruins, and they had game 1 yesterday. They beat them 4-2, and so are they playing tonight? I thought it was going to be tomorrow.
They were down, wasn't? Hang on. So the Bruins, the Panthers were down 3-1 against the Bruins, weren't they?
I don't know. I know they came back and won, but I don't know, Jeff. Anyway, let's look at this right here.
Let's see.
So Blockchain Daily put this out, said Justin, and I got to love this headline, reportedly Ripple and the SEC to hold undisclosed meeting on May 8th from an unconfirmed source. Now, Jeff, I've heard of an undisclosed source, but if it's unconfirmed, how can you cite a source that's absolutely unconfirmed? Half the stuff I see on Twitter is an unconfirmed source. So they think by putting that out there and saying it's unconfirmed somehow makes it better. I'm like, dude, an unconfirmed source.
I love unconfirmed sources.
John Deaton said, hey, John Deaton said, wait a minute, not so fast there, partner. He said, this is not how settlement happens. First, I believe the only time a settlement occurs in this case is after a ruling by Judge Torres. And that happens only if Ripple gets a big victory so that Gensler could save face and get a political win via settlement. Sorry, not going to happen. Jeff, you remember when we've been talking about this for a while, and John was cool. He's like, "Hey, you guys kind of called that. You were right. And but Jeff was kind of surprised. He was just like, didn't know we would be right. But yeah, so far so good. But he's kind of like why would there be, if there was a settlement, you try to save face, but Gensler saving face and getting a political win, not going to happen. John D went on to say that how is Gensler going to agree that ongoing and future sales of XRP are not security and pursue Coinbase and others? Yeah, he could try and thread the needle and then somehow claim that XRP is not like another token after claiming it was like the others for, well, let's say 2 years. And second, because of claims of market manipulation and insider trading, they wouldn't set a meeting and run the risk of a leak and influence the market. They would just meet, they'd come to terms, and they could, and then only then would they report a settlement to the judge. So this unconfirmed source sounds like someone wanting to orchestrate a pump. I've seen this all over crypto. Oh my gosh, there's a meeting on May 8th. So, that means a settlement. No, not necessarily. So I like John Deaton breaking through the FUD, turning it upside down. Here we got here. Let's look into this one here, Jeff. This one here is, I don't like that picture. I gotta grab the next story. That's not a good story.
So Fernando's saying, is that true? Coming from Gasparino, that Gary Gensler is going to run for governor of Maryland?
No, it was the Senate seat, wasn't it? Was it the governor, or I thought it was
That
the
his
Senate
job
seat?
at Treasury is off the charts at the moment. So we're talking about 2024 because he knows that the blue team is losing in 2024. So he's already looking for new jobs.
By the way, Jeff, I have to tell you that I absolutely love Zero Hedge. So Zero Hedge has this great story. I love reading the stories there. That's why we feature them a lot here. But JP Morgan CEO says system is very, very sound after the second largest U.S. bank failure in history. After another massive bank failure and the taxpayer-funded bailout, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon told listeners on an investor call this morning that, well, the system's very, very sound. Doesn't seem like it, Jamie, old chap. But hey, whatever you say, now the CEO of a bank that holds over 10% of America's deposits. We need large, successful banks in the largest economy, Dimon continued, proclaiming that this is nothing like 08 or 9. Well, he's right. So much as this is far larger, and we really don't know where the CRE holes on bank balance sheets are. Even as Charlie Munger warns, they are everywhere. The good news is, Dimon declares regarding bank failures, it's getting near the end of it. So are there more buyouts in store for Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan, Jeff? It sounds like it. Jeff, you're kind of quiet. What are you doing? You all right?
Reading the commentary.
Oh. It's always a good thing. I love to see those. No, put that back up. Let's look at that badass Yeti. Jim changed his thing. Dude, that looks so fresh. I love that.
Looks nice. And Matt Matata, is saying Shiver Spine Clan's weapon of choice is the Hajoran.
Weapon of choice. There you go. The Huron. There it is. Check this out. So Jamie Dimon, we support community banks. Banks will consolidate. Translation, we'll wait for the bank run. Thanks, Fed, to the hike to 5.25% to cripple them all, then buy them all for cents on the dollars while the FDIC keeps keeping the toxic crap. Pretty much nailed it there. That's why I like Zero Hedge. They will always keep you honest. And K-HUD, check this out. K-HUD, what's up? Appreciate that support. He says, JP Morgan here to save you with your money. We'll save you, but it's your money. That's a good observation. Yeah, and that's what this was saying. The FDIC will keep the toxic crap, which is basically your money. They always make it like some mystical source of revenue just dropped out of the sky like manna from the heavens. It just became, oh, look what we just found here. It's like just automatic happen, It's ridiculous, Jeff.
So Chip, since Matata was talking about the Shiver Spine's weapon of choice, so the Shiver Spine clan, they like the Hajoran, which is the sword. But just in case you're wondering, of the badass Yeti words if you look at it in Bay, which is Badass Yeti common speak. So they have the Axlor, right, which is the chopping tool or the axe. They have the Hajoran, which is the sword or the war blade. They have the Niflok, which is a knife, or directly translating means cutting tool. And they have the Spardak, which is a thrusting weapon, better known as the spear. So the Shiver Spine do love to use their Hajoran, which is their sword, or their war blade, which is interesting. Shiver Spine are terrifying, but many times they don't just use their Hajoran, they like to have their Niflok also. They love their cutting tool, and they love their war blades. So that's just a little bit of Badass Yeti. Apex Crypto is talking about the next bank to fall is going to be PacWest.
That's right.
And PacWest stock is down 54% since 4:40 today. So
Yeah,
market typically closes at 4, right? Or is it 4:30? Forget what time the market closes for some reason. But anyhow, that could be after hour trading. It looks like there's a bit of a collapse going on in the stock of PacWest.
It does, Jeff. Look at this. Here's another story. Biden proposes a 30% crypto mining electricity tax to offset environmental impact. See, this is what happens when you get caught up in cults. When you get caught up in cults, yeah, everything defines everything you do. It's like, oh, we've got to offset it. So just so you guys are aware, or may not be aware, but in the US, another rule went into effect that if you have the best score you can have, like for your credit score in the US, what is it? 860, right? 860. And if you hover around 700 or more, it's considered a decent score. If you're 800, it's better. So what they've done, this is what the big guys orchestrated, is that if you come in with the 600 or a 580, don't worry, you're going to pay less. You're going to pay less points and everything. Why? Well, because the people who have great credit and have been doing the right things and taking care of stuff and, you know, did the work that have a 750 or an 800 score, they're going to pay a higher fee so they can subsidize the low deadbeats who won't pay the mortgage, and we can collapse the economy here in the US like we did in 2008 and 2009. If you don't believe me, look it up, but that's a real thing. Now that will obviously get, you know, put out to pasture by the Supreme Court, but Jeff, it's just more of this class warfare. People do the right thing. They build up a little bit of wealth, and it's like the crypto mining electricity tax. Well, is anybody being taxed right now for using too much electricity? Is anybody aware of someone using too much electricity? So then why are miners? Do these people have any clue what an AWS center looks like, you know, with these, I mean, the cloud? People go, oh, it's in the cloud. Have you guys ever been to a cloud cluster? They're the size of a giant football fields full of servers with the buzz and the racks and the you know, the biometrics. You got to have your eye scan, then you got to do a fingerprint. Then you're only allowed into certain areas of it to be able to touch your equipment. But meanwhile, that seems to be cool because it's powering the internet. But if somebody wants to mine crypto on a computer, it's using too much electricity. This is BS, Jeff.
And I'll tell you, you know, they love you know, continuously talking about the environmental impact. And the reason why they're doing this, it's not so much that they believe that they can offset the environment, but it is a call to their leftists that support the blue team in calling them out, saying, hey, you see, there's a major impact, environmental impact. So, hey, by the way, we're going to get you all, you know, we're going to get you guys to pay more money. Hey, you know what? Because you know what taxes do, Chip? They offset impact to the environment. Did you know that? That
Okay.
as you pay taxes, as you give money to the government, it decreases your impact of whatever you're doing on the environment. That's how it works. So
Is that how it works?
So if you're running these big crypto mining centers, let's say you're mining Bitcoin and you're using X amount of electricity, so the offset to this environmental impact is for you to give the government money. And that's it. It takes care of the impact on the environment. It's brilliant. It's like magic, just like Rye Guy said. It's pure magic. It's such an amazing concept. I mean, why didn't everybody think about that before? You know, carbon credits. What a brilliant concept because you get your green credit, your carbon credit, and you feel so good, Chip, because you're like, oh, well, I'm using carbon credit, I'm using carbon, using energy. So in order to alleviate my guilty conscience of using this credit or of using this this fuel, I'm going to give money. It's brilliant. Oh, it's so amazing. I mean, it's just such a great idea. I love it. It's great.
It's a little bit much, Jeff.
It's way too much. Oh my God. It's too much. So the Crypto Caddy brings up a good point. The WEF want your electricity bill to go through the roof because, like everything else, if you can keep increasing the cost of things, then you make things less affordable. If you notice one thing, which is crazy, and you were talking about it just now, in terms of people with better credit that get mortgages are going to have to pay a higher percentage to help those that have a lower credit to get housing. But at the same time, they're also going to punish you if you go and get a single family residence because they'd rather have you live in a multifamily dwelling, which is better known as an apartment complex. But they also want you to believe that the smaller the unit that you buy in these multifamily complexes is better for you because the single family home is bad. It's bad just like the nuclear family is bad. So they try to break up the nuclear family. Now they want to take away, they want you to believe that it's the dream of home ownership. But should everybody own a home? So if your credit is shot and you're in debt, is owning a home the right move for every individual? Because if you can't afford to pay your rent, you can't afford to pay the mortgage. But even if you can afford to pay the mortgage, can you afford the upkeep on the home? What happens when you have to redo your plumbing? What happens when you have to redo the electricity? What happens when you have to redo the outer part of the home, whether it's painting or siding? What happens when you need a new roof? Where does that money come from? How do you maintain your lawn? Where does all that money come from? Right.
Where the
So
government
people
will give
that
it to you.
live in an apartment, you can pay your whatever the month. You're not paying for all those other components.
Taxes
What
as
happens when
well.
your heat goes out, your AC goes out, all these other things that they don't even contemplate all of these, elements to home ownership. Home ownership, is the idea, and here in the US, it's called the American dream. The American dream is to own your own home. And I'm not knocking owning a home, but the idea that everybody has to own a home, whether you can afford it or not, is incorrect. And the whole notion of the collapse of 2008 was based on the government from the early years, from the 70s, pushing this notion of home ownership, even if you couldn't afford it. So they then started loaning out money to people that couldn't afford to take out the loans. And guess what happens? Then it gets out of control. But it was a government, organized scheme that ended up in a disaster. Anytime the government puts their fingers into anything economic, it ends out really poorly, Chip.
Speaking of things that aren't ending very well, we talked about FTX and scam, bankrupt, fraud at the beginning of the show. Well, check this out, Jeff. FTX advisors billed the bankrupt firm for a whopping $103 million in Q1. This isn't over 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. In the first quarter of 2023, any of that recovered? I think they recovered like 800. Was it 800 million? Oh, it was like I don't know, it was a couple $1 billion, whatever it was. But $103 million. So who was that? Well, after Sullivan and Cromwell, does that name sound familiar? That's right. Bill Hinman was from Sullivan and Cromwell. Apparently they're fleecing everybody. So consulting firm Alvarez and Marshall billed the largest amount for its finance and accounting work. There's a lot of other stuff there, but so we have to have the experts go in and say, yep, the money's gone. The money's gone.
But we're going to charge you $103 million.
I mean, I know a lot about bankruptcy. I spent a good significant amount of time in it, but it's a broken system and it's just about as broken as can be because this is the kind of stuff that ends up happening. That the lawyer, it's like the sharks circle the tank, they feast, and like there's bloody parts left for everybody else. So March saw those 5 firms, FTX 36.4 billion, and then the invoices from March were slightly higher in January, 34 million, roughly 34, 32 million a month. But Sullivan and Cromwell walked away billing 14 million. And what are these rates? They're probably insane, Jeff. Look at this. Ridiculous. Reimbursements, compensation, just absolutely fleecing, man. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do when they come for you? Bad boys. So burning through any recovery money, just burn through it.
Well, that's Jim D. The other big shit show is 27 states protesting Biden for making high credit rating mortgage owners pay thousands in fees to offset high risk, low credit borrowers, which is, so beyond. I mean, it's so crazy. Come on. Here's the big question, Chip. What do you think of this? Is Biden going to pardon SBF? Because you know how much he loves him. We know how the blue team love SBF because he was their guy. Do you think it comes down to it? Does Biden pardon him?
Things are so crazy. I almost don't even have an opinion on it anymore, Jeff. I mean, it's like if I said to you 10 years ago, we would be seeing this, this, and this, you'd be like, oh, come on, man, that's crazy. We're going to shut down the entire world. Everything shut down. You're like, yeah, okay. Like we've gone through so much. And it's gotten so bizarre. You just look at like what's happening around the world. It's like, I look at everything. I look at the French protesters, and they're out there in the streets. I look what happened to the Dutch farmers. Dutch farmers are chilling out, growing their food, feeding their families, feeding the rest of the Netherlands. And all of a sudden, the cultists come around and say like, oh, I'm sorry. We're going to take your farms. Whoa, wait, what do you mean? Yeah, we're going to take your farms. You're not going to be a farmer anymore. Like this farm's been in our family for hundreds of years. Nope, sorry. This is do you think that would have happened? I would have been like, no, Jeff, that sounds crazy. That's not going to happen. This I like right here. Guys, type in Badass Yetis because we're going to do the drawing. I'm not going to wait for you guys. So you have one shot to do it. So get it done. Jeff, I saw this was really funny. You guys remember Seinfeld, a show that was on in the 90s. They called it a show about nothing. I thought this is pretty funny. This is Jerry Seinfeld is like, and what's the deal with the Federal Reserve? It's not federal, and it doesn't have any reserves. So I thought that was a good one. What is the deal with socks? One sock is always escaped. Anyway, that's Jerry Seinfeld. It's good. It's a good little meme. Like, what's the deal with the Federal Reserve? It's not federal, and it doesn't have any reserves. And the funny thing about it is, most people don't know this. There's some nut job running for president with the first name of Vivek. And he was out there talking about the Federal Reserve, what he's going to do. I'm like, and it was funny because Sam I Am called him out on a tweet. And he's like, dude, you do realize that the Federal Reserve is not part of the United States government, right? I mean, like, how can you run for president if you don't know that the Federal Reserve isn't a third-party entity that's never been audited and operates under its own jurisdiction, and Congress or nobody has any control over it? Like, you don't know that, but you want to be president. Bizarre.
Dude, it's so bizarre. Here's I want to share something that's going to prove, once and for all, the insanity of the leftist ideology
Hang on a second,
when
Jeff.
it comes to, huh?
Go ahead, Jeff. We're getting ready for it.
Hugo Chavez. So this is brilliant, Chip. And the reason why I bring this up, because here's Hugo Chavez. This is back in 2011, right? So we're talking about 12 years ago. Chavez, who was the leader of Venezuela, moved Venezuela from a massive producer and exporter to a country with millions of percent of inflation and a currency that's devalued to less than the value that the paper it's printed on. And here's a guy who said, capitalism may have ended life on Mars, Chip. Capitalism may be blamed for the lack of life on the planet Mars, the Venezuelan socialist president Hugo Chavez said on Tuesday. So this is just amazing because this is the guy that was so anti-capitalism. Now, the reason why I bring this up, because his speech was to mark World Water Day. He holds capitalism responsible for many of the world's problems, warned that water supply on Earth were drying up. Now, the reason why I think this is so, crucial to talk about right now is because the same exact stuff that is happening when we see them talk about, taxing, the carbon credit, or, taxing those that have better credit in order to help others. Hugo Chavez did the exact same thing that decimated Venezuela to the point where they went into wealthy neighborhoods and he told the poor communities that you too can live in the wealthy neighborhoods. And what Hugo Chavez did, which is astonishing, is he went into the wealthy neighborhoods and he nationalized the golf courses. Chip, type in badass Yetis. He nationalized golf courses, and they built housing, government subsidized housing on the golf courses, which detrimentally destroyed those other neighborhoods. Now, this is exactly the same mentality, ideology that's leading the charge today. Super problematic. And there you go. So type in badass Yetis because the badass Yetis are awesome. The badass Yetis will kick the ass of most dictatorships out there, especially when they try to invade their Himalayan homes. So type that badass Yetis in, and we're going to do a drawing for a brand spanking new badass Yeti. We only have 28 entries. There's over 100 people
Jeff,
here
new rule.
right now.
New rule. We don't give away badass Yetis on the program anymore. We can put a tweet out and have 28 people within like the first 20 minutes.
Badass Yetis. Come on, there's 102. We need more entries. Type in badass Yetis here. You don't have to go anywhere else. Just type it in to the chat. Just type in badass Yetis and you too can win a brand spanking new badass Yetis. How cool is that? How
Very
cool is that?
I'll say how cool it is.
We are going to be moving the we're going to be doing the drawings over on Twitter because Twitter is going to be an awesome place. We do longer period of a drawing. It's not going to be in a short 1 hour period. We could go over multiple days where you get to invite more people to the Badass Yetis Twitter. So make sure you follow at Badass Yetis on Twitter also. Just look at Badass Yetis, put an at in front of it, one word, Badass Yetis on Twitter, and look for the announcement. We're going to continue giving away Badass Yetis over there on Twitter. So let's give it one more minute here.
34,
Lots of people
34.
typing in Badass Yetis. Got 34 in there. This is awesome. Right here at the end of the show, who doesn't want a brand spanking new Badass Yetis? They're so cool, cute, and cuddly, and awesome.
I can see someone like Stephen Bryan winning because he'll put a badass Yeti up there, or Tony Bags, or Sir John, or Fernando, who was late. That's okay. We're gonna let it slide. We're gonna let it slide.
Kiwi strong, okay. Badass Betty. Come on now.
Someone says, what is it?
What is it? It's an awesome, cute, cuddly NFT like Jim D. Put Jim D up there. Jim D. See, Jim D's got his badass Yeti right there in his. That's the one we're giving away. Look at that. That's awesome.
Right there. There you go. Okay, so there it is.
Oscar Marson with his Icelandic crone. 750 badass Yetis.
Appreciate that, Oscar. And if you guys want to support the channel, share it with your friends. Go ahead and share it with people. Say, hey, why don't you watch this show? Sometimes they give away badass Yetis. No, you can also buy a badass Yeti. And we're super stoked for all you guys that have done that. Share it with your friends, people who want to get a cool NFT. But this is the one going, and I'm going to pull the trigger. It's 37. You 37, got 3, 2, 1. I'm clicking the draw.
That's a badass Yeti. Draw that. Draw that.
Here we go. Cycling through. Cycling. Who's it going to be? Tony Bags.
Oh, whoa. Tony Bags.
Wins.
Winner.
I hope you do change your... Look at that confetti come out, man. Awesome animation. Tony Bags. I need you.
StreamYard hooked it up with that. I like that with the confetti.
I need you, Tony.
Exciting to do the drawing like that.
I need you to drop in your Twitter handle so we can verify that it's you. So congratulations, Tony Bags. Good for you. Says very easy hydroponics. Beautiful. Everyone's congratulating Tony Bags. So Tony Bags, what I need... Congrats. Okay, dude, that's awesome. But I need you to go ahead and drop in your Twitter handle or at whatever, or put the last 5 digits of your wallet address. It's got to be one of the two. Go to your Zoom wallet, copy that in as we get out of here. Okay, there we go. Right there, Jeff. There it is. Let me take a screenshot of that. Tony Bags 3. We just
rigged.
What's that?
Kiwi Strong said it was rigged.
That was
It
a
was
rigged
legit.
automated program.
Was legit. Good job, Tony Bags.
So he joins
And he made a
Brian
Yeti bag.
Hearn and Crypto G as a winner chicken dinner. Hang on a second. Let me see if I'm following Tony. Let me go out there real quick and see. Let's see. At Tony.
He's gonna have to change his name now to Tony Yeti Bags.
Tony Yeti Bags. Let's see. Yeti Bags.
See, XPK buzzed out the confetti. See, all that confetti that was thrown out over there.
Look at that. I'm not even following you, dude. That's a criminal thing right there.
What in the world?
That's criminal.
Is that for real?
So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to send you
Badass Yetis?
Christmas trees. What's going on here? Okay.
There's
All
Tony
right.
Bags 3.
Yep.
Tony Bags 3 is following Badass Yetis, giving Tony Bags a follow back from Badass Yetis. There you go.
Let's see, please. Oh, is that your wallet address you dropped in there already, buddy? I think so. Yeah, you already dropped it. Good for you, man. You already dropped it in there. We're coming your way shortly. Jeff and I are going to get out of here. It's time. Thank you guys for participating in the Badass Yetis. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. And we will see you Saturday morning with special guest, Representative Warren Davidson, coming on the chain to talk about crypto regulation, Gary Gensler. We're going to have a great time chatting about it.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Be a lot of fun, guys. Okay. So thank you guys, everybody. Tony, that's coming your way soon. I'll stay close to your thing and I'll reach out and confirm with you that you received it. Okay, everybody? Okay, everybody.
Howdy.
See that. Take care, guys. See you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.